your motivation.
Really?
Yeah, it's affected my motivation in the way that I really like to be there with the people that I'm working with, like to bounce off each other, you've got that sort of energy going.
Yeah.
Where if someone sends you a track, it's kind of weird. I find when you're together, you've got that adrenaline going, and as I say, you're bouncing off each other. You're very you're in the zone. You're in the moment. Whereas sometimes at home, you feel like you've got to cheat yourself up a bit, especially after work. I work early mornings, and then sort of I'm up at half 4, 4:15, kind of thing.
And actually, that's touching on something that obviously I interviewed a guy called Joe Rosser. He's a close friend of mine from a very big metal band called Essex. I've known Ollie me and Ollie were in bands together for I think it was probably a couple of months. It's just that life took us away in separate directions, but like you've just said, you work, you do odd shifts, and I was talking to Ollie earlier, and he said the thing is, music is all I've ever known, even when you were growing up, because I used to work with his dad, funnily enough.
Yeah.
And he said, that's all I've ever known, music, that I've never done anything else. But with how things are being toppled over, he's had to now go out into a world where he's not actually, I suppose, really done a job, such as what me and you have done.
Yeah.
You work on railway, I work on building sites. So he's now taken out of his comfort zone, where he's just having to do that to make it sustainable. I think a lot of musicians are finding it difficult to make the thing that they've always known and loved and what they do as a job and keep it sustainable to keep their lives moving. I mean, how's that been in terms of people that you know as well?
Yeah, it's definitely been difficult. I mean, on the railway, I've been on the railway now 5-6 years.
Yeah.
This is my first proper job. So before I was out with my band and I was gigging and I was loving life. It was fantastic. And as Ollie said, it's kind of strange going from one thing to sort of, kind of in a way, I've got to become an adult now. I've got to do normal adult things rather than actually living the life that I want to live. So yeah, it has been extremely hard, and I'm sure it's affected a hell of a lot of people.
Well, was that a bit of pill to swallow for yourself as well? Because, like I said, I looked at your Facebook profile. I've checked all your links that you sent me. Ollie's even sent me a new track that you're working on with him. Well, I'm not going to leak anything on here because I know what, personal space. But that's obviously something that you've always known and always loved, and you've adored it since day one, and that's kind of your thing, that's your baby. And to kind of be stripped away from that near enough, I mean, that is a very bitter pill to swallow. I mean, I've done it myself, where a band that I was in, we'd been offered the chance to be on a record label. Granted, it was a DIY label, which you've got to be very, very careful with. If you watch my interview with Joe Rosser, he'll explain about what happened with Mark Daghorn, which is the owner of Rising Records. He's also married to Rihanna's cousin.
Wow.
Yeah. But he's a con artist.
Yeah.
And people like that are out there, and that's the thing.
Yeah, it's the trouble. So you get offered something that you think, obviously when a record label approaches you and they sort of blow smoke up your backside and they're like, you're this and we think we can do this for you and we think we can do that. I've had people say the sort of same to me, and then they're just full of rubbish, really, a lot of them. And then you can actually end up being more out of pocket than you were when you signed with them. And this is the trouble, isn't it? You know, you spend hours and hours on your music and on your craft in every way possible. And then you could end up losing it all to these labels, or, you know, you haven't got control of your own music.
Because that's just as you've just said there. I mean, obviously I dissect conversations in a different way. You've just said it's your music, it's your time, it's yours basically. But the moment that you sign to a deal, it no longer becomes yours. I mean, I'm surely that is something to be worried about, because, yeah, okay, yeah, Gary, it's a business, it's a product. You have to sell music for them to gain a return back, like any other job. But it's no longer yours. You have no input on that. And that's another thing. And this is one of the things that I was saying about record labels as well. Do we even need them anymore? Do we need them? I mean, the way that we access music, and how you've just shown us, you've got your own recording platform at home where you can remotely send cells over to Ollie or to any other studio. Just say, I want something doing with this. This is how I want it to sound. I'd like to work with you on it. This is like what I kind of want it to be, but I'm happy to have your input. It's not like that. I mean, do we need them anymore? Well, what's your opinions on that?
I think it's kind of tough, because when you release things independently, sometimes you can end up getting, like, you know, great sort of streams on it and everything like that, and it can look fantastic. But I think the reason a lot of people sign with record labels is one, because it looks good for your image, doesn't it? It looks like, oh, people want to sign me, you know, and
Yeah.
sort of your credibility goes up. But also, I think, although we do have the internet and we have these amazing ways now that artists didn't used to have, of promoting our music, of, you know, being able to send all of our music over and sort of everything like that.
I think so. In background.
Hold on 1 sec. Now, what are you doing? Honestly. To take what out? What, the control? Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, ladies and gents, that's my nan. That's the one downside of living here.
Ollie, I hope you saw all of that footage, because he's dying. All I'm getting here is just smiley faces and laughing and rolling and God knows what else. He's loving it. Guy's loving it.
Well, we was on a roll then, weren't we?
We aim to please, Ollie.
But yeah, as I was kind of saying, we have all these ways now to get our music out there and to sort of, you know, let the world know we exist. But now everyone is doing it. So you're almost like you're a small fish in this massive pond now. So yes, it's great to have the internet and great to have ways to get these things out now, because everyone's doing it. You can get really lost right in the background. You know, I think a lot of it is to do, you know, with money and being able to get yourself into these Spotify playlists. And
Joe said exactly the same thing, and he said that the way that obviously that is currently that situation where, yeah, a lot of people can do it for themselves and can put it out themselves, and that is a huge pond, like you've just said. The issue being is then getting noticed, because unless you're a cash cow, let's say like Rihanna or Iron Maiden or Queen or someone like that, there's no one. What they're after is that they're after the people that can instantly generate the income, rather than actually going out and searching for new talent who can potentially make a new coming. And we're probably not going to see that sometime. I mean, I think we saw that probably in the early 2000s when we got like the likes of like a lot of rap artists, really, like Tinchy Strider, Chipmunk, Tiny Temper. There was like a lot of different names in that music category that were just all of a sudden just blowing up and just coming out of nowhere. No one had heard of them, but then they appeared out of nowhere and they just took the stage by storm. And then now we've kind of like not heard anything from them again. They've kind of got lost, like you've just said. So, but there's no one new, like who's kind of filled their shoes. There's no one being able to step up and do what they were able to do. And it just seems to be a bit of a shame that we can't seem to find new talent.
Yeah, it's very. I think now we had more originality back then, whereas now you've got all this mumble rap rubbish, and people they're not trying to sound like themselves anymore, because no one can be you but you. That's the thing. But a lot of people are looking at such and such artists and they're going, oh, that's what sells, I'll do that, rather than actually being true and authentic.
Yeah.
No, and that's
I was just laughing at what Ollie's just said. He just shouted, "Yes, Sandra." Is that your nan?
That is my nan.
All right, there we go. Right. He's just saying hi, Sandra.
Hi, Sandra. Yeah, well.
Not hi, Jared, or anything like that. The guy who's in the video, you're not saying hi to him. You just rather speak to his nan. All right, we know where your priorities lie.
My nan actually went viral before I did. I haven't even gone viral yet. My nan, we used to have like a comedy sort of channel, and I used to write sketches with her and stuff like that. So, and yeah, she got on, what's it, Student Bible, which is like a sub-page of Lad Bible. So yeah.
Oh right, yeah, there's a Student Bible.
She went viral before me.
Oh my God.
And even now, in this interview, she's still the one who stole the bloody limelight.
That's amazing. It's all right. At least you haven't got a cat that's trying to pull your laptop off the table, so you're lucky in that sense. Go away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I mean the issue what Joe raised is that everything within the music industry now is all about money, especially if you're signed to a label. All they want to know is how much money you can make them, not how much that they're going to pay you as such, which, like I said, coming back, completely understand it, it's a business. But there doesn't seem to be nothing like, if you turned around to them and said, "Oh, right, actually, I've got an idea to do this," they'd just be like, "Well, no, that's crap."
They've got control of everything. They want they want you like a puppet. And as I said earlier, this is the strange thing, do you go independent and risk no one knowing who you are, even though you're trying your hardest to get everything, and you've got all these sort of platforms like BBC Introducing and Fresh on the Net, and all these different things that you can send your music to.
This is what you've done already, haven't you? You've been on BBC Introducing already.
Yeah.
How did that go for you? What was the response back from that?
A good relationship with BBC Essex, who have always been absolutely amazing to me. They invited me in to do like performances and everything like that. So I was on like some sort of midweek shows going there and everything, and then I've been played on BBC Introducing quite a lot of times actually, which I'm really grateful for. and once was Track of the Month, which was one of my songs called Falling, which was amazing. You know, that was in the summer. It's a proper summery sort of track as well. And, you know, for me, that was a really good sort of achievement. But then you do also think to yourself, where does it go from there? You know, surely if you're getting made sort of Track of the Month and people are starting to sort of know who you are, kind of thing.
But
You know, you want
no one else is approaching you to
you want
push the boundary a bit further. You don't know where to go from there.
Exactly, that's it. And you know, perhaps it is just a bit of guidance, because some people, they'll just turn around and go, yeah, but you've never had it so easy, you've got all this internet and everything like that. Whereas I would have liked it in the olden days where you could have just walked into a radio station, dropped your demo in, and actually have some physical, you know, kind of conversation with them, you know, been there physically with them and sort of let them know where you stand and everything like that. I feel now it's a lot like with applying for jobs. No one sees your face anymore. They just see what you've done, and if you sort of fit the bill. Whereas I personally like to meet people and try and get my personality across, even though it's a bit Marmite, my personality.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. It's like, for me, it's about like what skill sets I have, rather than like, they don't care like what your personality is like. It's like, oh, you can hold a paintbrush, cool. Can you cut a straight line? Nice one. Can you do this? Can you do that? Yeah, you've got a job. It's not really like, they don't take time to know you as a person, like during that interview. I mean, I'm actually at a point now, whereas they don't even interview me. They just give you a job because that's what they want you to do.
Yeah.
So no one actually knows me for me or what I'm like as a person. But I mean, when you've just said about, because you've seen both ends of the spectrum, it's where do you go from there once you've reached a certain point? Now, obviously, the whole inspiration behind finding out what exactly are the issues and how we can address them as people. The inspiration came from a band here from Sheffield called While She Sleeps. They've been on BBC Radio 1, 2, I know they've been with a song called Nervous, which features the singer from, have you ever heard of Biffy Clyro?
Yeah.
It features the singer, Simon Neil. And they've done this entire, the past 3 albums off their own back, and been more of a success now than what they were when they were signed to Sony. So their first 2 albums were with Sony Music Entertainment. Then they got told that they needed to change their appearance and that they didn't like how they looked or anything, and they just basically just went, do one. And we're going on his own. And they have done brilliantly with it. And how they've done it is that they've done it using Patreon.
Yeah.
As like a subscription network for people to then support that band independently. They can put whatever amount of money they want to put in, not what someone else dictates to them. All right, yeah, I suppose they're still saying, right, if you want this, you can have this, but this is what's included with it. You do this, but it's like anything else, really. I mean, we subscribe to Sky, like me with PlayStation and all them sorts of things. I mean, is that sort of a model something that you, as an individual, would be able to tap into? Or do you think, again, that'd be too many cooks, that'd be too many people getting involved by doing the same thing?
So eventually, what I want to do is I want to be able to leave my job and do music full time, but I don't want to go out there and do covers. I've done covers. I've done all them gigs, everything like that, and it just really was. I had fun, but you know, I suppose
your heart wasn't in it because you're singing someone else's music.
I like writing and stuff like that. So for me, what's more important to me is people looking at me as an artist and saying, does he write his own songs? And then finding out, yes, he does, like lyrically. Obviously, I get musicians in and stuff like that, but lyrically, I write my own songs. So I care more about that in terms of respect than I do any cash in my pocket. Having said that, I want to be able to survive and have a good life and look after the people that I love. If I can do that, then absolutely amazing. But for me, like when me and Ollie do songs or anything, we always go 50-50. If there's 4 of us, 25% each. I don't care who's done more or whatever. That's just, to me, that's the sort of deal that we strike up, you know. So money's not, probably perhaps why I'm living with me now, but money's not a driving thing for me. It never is. It's experience. You know, I want to go out there. I want to have the best experiences I can have, and I want to create with people that are on the same wavelength as me, the same, you know, driven. You'll know as well as a musician, same as Ollie, same as most musicians out there.
Yeah.
The most unreliable people you'll ever meet are other musicians. They are so unreliable, and you just think.
Do you know what? I couldn't agree with you enough because, like, there was times when I was in the band and we'd always be like, where's Tony? We had 2 vocalists, and it was either Tony, who, I mean, there was one time he just didn't even turn up to a show. And didn't even tell us. He just completely, he was like, oh, right. I didn't even know that we were playing today. It's like, we told you yesterday.
Yeah.
Last week or whatever. I remember that happened once. And our drummer was just like late for the norm. But I think that just comes as part and parcel. If like people, they've got other responsibilities outside the band, and back then we were all about like, oh, this is what we wanted to do, but we couldn't appreciate that there was other things taking us away from it.
I think that's true, but then the way I see it, it's like, you know, you treat a band or you know, trio, duo, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a relationship, and you have to talk, you have to communicate, right? So that's all very well that other people have got other commitments and stuff like that. That's fair enough. You should obviously tell people that, you know, I'm going to be committed to this project, but I have other things going on and stuff like that. I think we all understand that, but it's when people will let you down and then they'll say, oh, I've had these commitments and everything like that, last minute or whatever. When this is essentially, you know, this is going to bring down the other members of the band and make the whole band look like they've all let people down. It's you know, it is all about communication. And if someone's got too much of a busy life, don't commit to something or don't tell people that you can. I think that's the problem. That obviously there's some things that you can't get away from, you know, like a family death or something like that. I mean, fair enough. That's a time when you're.
This is like, because this is a very, very valid point. What Ollie's just brought up, it's like it's hard to get the same drive out of each other if not everybody is on the same wavelength. So I mean, yeah, and I think this was another problem that I had experienced with my band, because we all had different musical tastes with it, but still within that main genre, but it kind of sort of rooted into different areas. We all had this like this sort of particular sound that we wanted to aim for, but we could never get to it because we'd always clash. It was always like our interests had just like collide with each other. And I think that was one of the downfalls for us. We couldn't agree on anything. And I mean, I think that's hard when you can't build that drive then, and then you become deflated. And I think that's inevitably is what becomes an artist's downfall.
Yeah, because then people start to look for a way out as well.
Yeah.
You know, I've sort of found that, and it is tough because just like you would in a relationship, sometimes you'd sort of think, well, actually, I'm not interested in that side of things anymore. I'm not interested in this or whatever. It's the same, you know, with your musical taste. It can change, and you can start to sort of, I don't know, some people hang around with new people and then start to get into a different thing of music, and they start to think, actually, this is a side I haven't explored or whatever.
Yeah.
I think, but mainly for me, I feel like that's when you're young, you know, when you're sort of getting a little bit older or a little bit more mature musically, you start to really work out what really makes you tick musically and what sort of genres you're into. Like, I mean, I'm 30. When I was 28, that's when I found out, or that's when I worked out what type of music I was really, in my mind, destined to do. And in my heart, I just felt like this is the kind of music, you know, which is, you know, funk, pop, soul, and disco. You know, all them kind of caught up on that kind of thing. But some people now, and again, it comes back to the thing of what's popular. Some people want to delve into that. Oh, I want to do what's popular because I want to make money, and
it's not just about what's popular as well. I mean, Ollie's mentioned this, Joe's mentioned this, and numerous other people have mentioned this as well that I've got interviews coming up with. It's about what sells to them. I mean, to you, to them, you are just a number. The moment you stop making that income, that money, then I think you're just doomed. They'll just be like, "Nah, we don't need you anymore," and then your sustainability is gone. Then the thing that you love is gone.
Yeah, I get you. It's very tough because it's almost like, you know, a lot of these stars, even now, people have already made it, so to speak, but they're clinging on to try and stay relevant. And you think, you know, like you say with Sony saying to Biffy Clyro, like, you've got to change the way you look and like everything like that. I mean, how dare you? That's the way I said, like, how dare you? We've made you money. This is who we want to be. We've trusted in you. We've signed a contract with you. We've trusted that you will let us be ourselves and everything like that. Whereas now, you see it with people in real life. Even they get in with a certain crowd and they change and they're molded. Some people are they're sort of born to be molded, whereas other people like me, don't get me wrong, I'm open to constructive criticism. I always have been. I'm not a prima donna like that, and I'm open to sort of, you know, changing to make sort of things better. But if someone starts saying to me like, physically you don't look right, and you know, you need to start dressing like this, and you need to start doing this, and like, no, don't. I want to be who I am. That's the thing. And now I think a lot of people, this is why like depression and stuff is so prominent now, because certain people, they're not allowed to be themselves, which would then make the artists sort of delve into this horrible dark thing where they're feeling just like a puppet, you know, and having to go, you know, I suppose, go through the emotions. But it must be awful not being able to feel like you can be who you want to be. You know, let your music do the talking, like a footballer would let his feet do the talking. That's the kind of thing, if you're under criticism, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like it's just a shame that and well, actually, what you've just said there, I mean, there's a definite showing of that within the music industry, because you just have to look at people like Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. I forgot what his best friend was called, who committed suicide like the week before. You've got Amy Winehouse, who turned to alcohol and various other narcotics. And then you've got people.
Robin Williams, you know.
Well, yeah, well, and even for all that was like, okay, that was like the film industry. It just shows you that it's very, very prominent, but these big money makers are happy to hide it. They're not happy to share it. It's like, oh well, that's your problem. They're not happy to like come to you about when you say about people talking to each other. They don't want to come to you and say, "You all right, mate? What? Like, do you want to sit down and talk about it?" There's none of that.
No.
And I think it'll be like that for a good long time to come.
I feel like a lot of, especially you see it on social media, a lot of people post about caring about mental health, but a lot of them actually don't. I feel, you know, there's certain people, like I've got some amazing friends, you know, I can probably count my true friends on one hand, maybe max two. But I know the people that are there for me, but you see it, if you're having bad days or whatever, people go, I'm there for you, and then when you need them, they're not. And I can imagine that it's even lonelier in a world where you sort of feel like you have to always be on the ball and perform, and you know you're an entertainer, and record labels are looking at you as like, you know, you've got to have this certain image, you've got to, you know, you've got to come across nice in interviews, you've got to perform on stage, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. There's a lot of things being thrown at you.
Yeah.
And I could just imagine, like, it must be, because a lot of people look at famous people and they go, oh, why are they depressed? They've got this, they've got that. Like, I'd imagine.
And it's again that money doesn't bring you happiness.
It doesn't.
So I know that's a very cliche thing to say, but it's obvious that is what happens. Yeah, okay, lots of money may buy you things, but then you look at the likes of what do you call him? Bill Gates. Like, look at all the money that him and his, well, now ex-wife, because they started their divorce proceedings last week. I mean, and he said it was all of that around it what has destroyed their marriage. It's like because they've not been able to focus on themselves and what makes them happy.
Because it's not a main thing that should be in life. Yes, you need money to survive, but like for me, you know, love is one of the most important things. You know, love you've got for your friends, your family, you know, any sort of loved one you have, a wife, a girlfriend, whatever. That's what matters. Money is, you know, it's true when they say it can be the root of all evil. It's why I always said to myself, you know, I know that it's like, I know it's a slim chance, but I'll always believe that I can get to where I want to get to musically. And if I get to where I want to get to and I have all this money, I know in my head and in my heart that I will do the best I can do with it. I won't be selfish with it. I'll give back. But I find like a lot of these, you know, elitists and sort of everything like that, you know, everything is about money, money, money. And what have you got? If you're always chasing money, you're missing everything else go by. All the other beautiful things in life, you know. Money is just, if you are purely driven by money, you can't be happy.
No, No, I mean, and I think this was the thing what's blinded a lot of music artists. I mean, you look at the likes of Rihanna. I mean, I don't know whether you can remember when she first came onto the scene. She was just one of these youthful, young. I mean, sure, I think she was like something like 17, maybe 18 when she like busted onto the scene. Instantly, Simon Cowell, you know, the way that he is like, I can make money off her. And, but have you ever seen her smile in a photo? Right?
Not,
Anything
there's not
that's in the
many have it.
media,
It's
now,
always
you,
smouldering.
you'll be truthful with me now, right? Have you ever seen Johnny Depp smile in a photo? Have you ever seen Rihanna smile in a photo? I mean, have you? The list is endless. I mean, I think there was what's his name who passed away after Live Aid, singer of Queen, Freddie Mercury.
Mercury, yeah.
Yeah, you'll look at a lot of his photos from his youth when they were like signed to record. Not a single smile on the faces, and I think it's just they get drilled into them that you're not here to be happy, you're here to be serious. You're representing us. They're not representing themselves, because I think that if Rihanna was independent, she'd be like me and you. She'd just be back to a normal person again. Obviously with a lot more money, but still a normal person.
Yeah.
And I think it's just sad.
You're told what you got to look like, how you got to be, how you got to conduct yourself. And as I said earlier, and I've said a few times in this interview, that I just feel like they're made into puppets. And I don't know, you know, whether anything like that will happen to me in the future, because sometimes you can get caught up in things where, you know, you're not really conscious of what's going on. You know, we've all been there. But yeah. I'd like to think that I will always stay true to myself and you know, and be authentic and be who I want to be. But these record labels, they must manipulate the hell out of people. And I think that's why a lot of people who have now gone independent, a lot of them have actually got money behind them. That's the trouble with going independent. You need to have injections of money to put into things, and, you know, your merchandise and your marketing and getting into Spotify, traveling all over the country and doing tours and sort of everything like that. Obviously sending your songs off to be mixed or whatever if you've got your own studio. There's so many things that the average person wouldn't even think about. Right? Yeah. The everyday person wouldn't go, because they look at musicians. A lot of musicians are looked at as like, oh, they're living their best life. They don't work hard. They don't do this. They don't do that. They're living in a dream world. You know, I've had
the thing is, what they don't see is that there's everyone else to pay before you. So you've got, like you've just said, you've got your studio time, then there's the producer's time. I mean, that's completely separate. Like they're mixing and mastering or whatever. That time is completely separate from just like tracking your actual music. Then you've got your PR, so your promotion. Then there's like, if you're printing any physical media, then you've got to pay people for even promoting your social media nowadays. I mean, anyone can run an advert off, but there's these people that are actually paying someone to do that 24/7 for them. And I mean, you know, it's not them as well a lot of the time. Whereas when it's someone who's independent, yeah, you've still got things to pay out for, but you know that it's all coming back to you in the end. No one else has taken a cut out of what you've put the work in for.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this whole pandemic as well. I think this is going to be one of the things that a lot of people will see, is that they don't need all these people to function. They can do it on their own, and people can make it on their own. And I think that's the reason why, like, I think a lot of record labels, I mean, there's some, you can Google it anyway. There was a big article about it, and they said that they felt threatened by the use by independency. So like you said, someone who's got money behind them, but even if they haven't, but they've done what they need to do and they've got the following, the backing behind them, which is what happened with Welsh Sleeves. They didn't have the money behind them, but they had the support. They had the fans. They'd done what they needed to do. They got the publicity, and then that's how they made it work. The fans paid them basically to do what they loved. And I think it was like, there was SME, which is Sony, Epitaph, which is who Bring Me the Horizon is signed to, and there was a fair few other labels, and they feel that their biggest cash earners are obviously just say, well, we can do it ourselves, why do we need you anymore? And then that's putting them out of pocket then. And I think that's what they're scared of. But how they can't compete with that anymore. Or not unless they like lower the prices on shit.
Yeah, because the sale as well now, like obviously with physical albums, that when you used to be able to go out and buy singles physically and physical albums and that, I from what I've researched and everything, used to be a lot more money in it back then, whereas now everything's sort of streaming and digital and sort of everything. So I think once you do, the good thing about a lot of these sort of bands that do end up breaking away from the record labels and going independent is that, like you say, they've got that fan base there now. They've still got people who are really interested in what they're doing and their sort of life. And I know a lot of people who follow bands and everything, they want these bands to stay true to themselves. They don't want them to sell out. They don't want them to go away and be this people that they're not, because a lot of these people follow the bands from the start. They remember them, watching the gigs where only 50 people would turn up. So the success, and I think it's with anything though, if you work really hard to get to where you want to get to, why should someone who doesn't know about your struggle start telling you how you should do things and everything like that? It makes a mockery of the musicians.
I mean, you're trying to get your music out there, like you're trying to make people aware of, look at me, this is what I do, this is my voice. And that might be difficult for you because obviously you're just an individual on your own. That's hard, and I can appreciate that's hard, but you've got more ability to be able to promote yourself now, whereas back in the 60s, 60s, 70s and 80s, you were given a genre of music that was fed to you. This is what you've got, deal with it, kind of thing. Whereas now there's so much out there, and it's just, I think it's a difficult platform for everyone now. It's a seesaw. You've got people like you, which are kind of like teetering on the edge, who they can do it. You can do it. You can get there, and bring some balance. But then you've always got people that are going to be like Iron Maiden, then Queen, then Black Sabbath, then Rihanna, then Eminem, and the list carries on. So, I mean, how can anyone compete with that, so to speak? It's hard. It's just so hard.
If you're an independent artist, you know, you can't really compete with that. This is why a lot of people go for record labels, and they think, well, you know, they weigh up their options. What's my life now compared to what it will be like, or, you know, and so I think it was I think it's Coldplay don't own any of their songs. They're on the credits, but they don't own. I'm not 100% sure of that. I did hear that it was Coldplay, but you know, even so, I mean, imagine that. You know, all them hours spent, you know, and you know, their songs are quite deep, aren't they? Quite a lot of Coldplay songs. So all them hours pouring your emotions into these songs and everything like that, all for someone to go, right, we're going to offer you this, but we own.
I mean, the other side of that as well, which is something what me and Ollie touched on, and me and Ollie were on the phone for 3 hours yesterday. It was like a grandma's meeting. It was crazy. But we touched on the fact that how many people, how many lyricists, how many writers get involved with just a single song now, just because obviously music's not worth the same amount as, like how you said, as what it did way back when. Obviously they have to find their way to obviously get their bit. So they get involved with other people, say, oh, I've got a great idea, so that they can then get get their recognition out of that song and their piece of earnings out of that song. So it's like, when it comes to that sort of category, do Coldplay in fact actually write all of their own music, or is it because like they're just the performers now, like in a circus, and everyone else does the legwork for them? I mean, I think that's difficult. I mean, it's
the thing, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. With most things, you see a picture on social media of someone smiling, it doesn't mean they're happy. You see people looking like they're enjoying the music that they're doing, but they might not actually be enjoying it. That's why I really appreciate, and you know, I've always liked Muse.
Muse are great. Muse are great.
They change their sounds every single time, and you know, they're up there, and they've been credited as being one of the best live bands in the world. But I do love the way that they're constantly recreating themselves, and that's not because anyone. I don't think, but I don't think it's because anyone's told them you have to recreate yourself, because actually their music has always appealed to a large variety of people, large range of people, you know. But I love their stuff. But
yeah,
you look
that's actually a very valid thing that you've just said, because there's a lot of bands who have actually done that. I mean, look at Linkin Park. They started off as like, they were in the metal category, new metal. That's how they started off. And then they completely changed like their approach to music and the way that they sounded for certain tracks. And they've been in, there's like all manner of their tracks what are just in different categories. Same as Bring Me the Horizon. They started off as a death metal band, Bring Me the Horizon. And now you've got Parasite Eve and One by One, what's being played on BBC Radio 1 and Radio 2 in pop category. And Medicine, that was off the last album. And it's like that, there's just such a out of this world difference, but it's evolution. And I suppose that's one of the things that people have got to do as musicians. If you don't evolve and you don't hit what taste people like, then you're never going to make it. And it's sad. That's the sad truth.
It's about evolving, but it's about, I think it's about doing it on your own terms as well. You know, I don't want to see someone I know who's worked extremely hard, you know, put in the blood, sweat, and the tears and everything like that, and you know, had nights where they haven't slept, and you know, slept in a car after a gig, and it's done all these things, you know, just put everything on the line, all to be told you can't do this. We want you to do this, and you're going to do this because actually it says here in section such and such on the contract, you know, and it's just almost, I don't know, makes a mockery of all the hard work that these people have put in. Yeah. And if you put in hard work, you should have a say in the product and in the brand that you're trying to sell people and the person you're trying to be. Do you know what I mean?
No, I completely, I get that. I do get that. Just give me 2 minutes because you only get so long in a live video now for some reason on this. Don't know why.
It's like 40 odd minutes.
Is it up to 40 odd minutes? Didn't think we'd been going for that long. Oh yeah, yes we have. So I'll series. Right.
Yeah, I've got like a little while longer. I've got some shopping to do and like a haircut, but I've got a little while longer.
That's fine, man. Well, I mean, in a moment, I'm going to have to sign off anyway because I'm going to have to prep tea shortly for the little one coming back. So, just yes, I do want to add to my story. Stop being in it. It doesn't help at the minute as well as I've got a massive slice in my thumb.
No.
So I can't use this one at the moment. And then this one, I've got like a really bad burn going off on the end. So all that's just like knackered. It's actually from painting and decorating, believe it or not. So yeah, the whole like end of it's not picking up anything with that thumb. I can touch the screen on my phone, it's just nothing. It's actually as though the end of my thumb is not transferring any heat.
Yeah, mate.
So
that sounds very good.
No, but I mean, in terms of like what you're going to be doing next, I mean, what I know, like I said, I know that Ollie's sent me this track briefly just to listen to, just to see what's going on with that. What are you aiming for, like post-pandemic, I guess?
So we're auditioning a couple of drummers for the band because unfortunately the drummer we had, he again, like you were saying earlier, had other commitments that he saw as more of a priority, which was pretty tough to take because he's such a talented bloke, talented drummer. He can sing, you know. He's a very good person to have in the band, put it that way. But unfortunately, he's parted ways. So, which is a bit of a git really, because we were ready to get out gigging before all this kicked off. We were 2 or 3 more practices away from being really tight and just really ready to go out there and just sort of do it. But the aim is, for me, is to get a full band together and go out there and gig my originals. I'm about 2 or 3 songs away from finishing off my first ever solo album. Because I've been close over the years so many times, but unfortunately, you know,
something's always stepped in the way, basically.
Exactly. You know, and the stuff that, you know, I do with like collaborations and stuff. So I want to try and do as many collaborations as possible. You know, I enjoy doing
dance music and enjoy doing pop and dancehall and all stuff like that. But my main aim for me is to sing on as many tracks as I can, but tracks that I like. I'm not just going to sing on anything. But also, I just really want to get my own personal thing, and like a milestone for me is to get my album finished and just get everything in place, ready to go out gigging. You know, get the merch, get everything like that. Try and get the songs signed. You know, with certain labels and stuff. I've struck up a kind of good relationship with a few labels that actually do go out there and put the work in, and they're good with their promotion and sort of getting your streams up on Spotify and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, I just want to get back out gigging. That's the main thing for me. Get back out gigging. You know, get that confidence back up. You know, to the point where I'm feeling like, you know, because I used to go out and gig and I feel like I was on fire. You know, I was just ready, and it was the most electric thing ever for me. Because music, you know, being someone who's got ADHD, it's the only thing really that's ever sort of silenced my mind. You know, all other areas of my life have sort of always been up in the air, but music's been my.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you on that respect. I mean, I'm just waiting to hear back now, because I mean, I'm a couple of years older than you, and I've only just kind of had alarm bells rung by my doctor saying, I think you're autistic. It's like, what? Really? It's like, yeah, just things that you do just don't quite make sense. So obviously they make sense to me, but it's like you've just said, but it's like these things that what you've just said now, it's like, it's the only thing that's quieted my mind. And I'm like, well, actually, he's got a good point there. There's a lot of things what I do, and I feel completely at peace. And once I'm in that zone, I don't want to deviate away from it.
That's exactly the same thing. Yeah. I mean, I only found out when I was 28. You know, so I mean, I'm 31 this year, but
I'm 34 this year.
Yeah, but
it don't get any better, I'm afraid. I'm not selling that to you.
It's different when we were kids, though, because, you know, you were just seen as a naughty kid, or you're seen as whatever, you know. But for me, like, I feel like I've found something I'm good at, something that I thrive at, and something that, you know, sets me apart from a lot of other people. Like, I don't just want to be normal. I don't want to go out there and just work a 9 to 5 and then come home and just purely exist. I don't want to do, you know, while I'm here, whilst I'm on this earth, I want to leave my mark. You know, I want people to say he was.
You want to turn around and say that you've done something.
Exactly, that's it. Because at the end of the day, and I always say this, me and you and, you know, Ollie or whatever, we are the sperm that won. Out of all them trillions of sperm, whatever, we are the ones that won. We come into this world a winner. Do you see what I'm saying? I know it's a bit of a kind of thingy way of putting it, but it's true. So why would you just want to purely exist and just purely go to work and work for someone else and make them money, but not make yourself? You want to be your own boss one day, surely. You want to be in control of your own things, and you want to do what you want to do in your life.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, being the own boss kind of thing, it's not everything that everyone makes it out to be. I'll honestly admit. But the thing is, it's like there's been a lot of things that have happened during this pandemic, what have made me realize that it's like there's a lot of things that I didn't need to have in my life. I can do this by myself. Why am I relying on this person? Them sort of things. So yeah, okay, it can be shit being boss man from time to time, I mean, if I could just go and interview musicians and make that my living, right? It's like you with music. That'd be it for me. I'd be happy at that. But obviously, because I'm from Yorkshire and I've got a stupid hillbilly accent, it kind of, it's kind of like shot that boat out of the water for me. So, but it is what it is at the end of the day. I'll even if it's just something that I enjoy doing, just as a hobby, I'm happy. If something does come better from it, then fair enough. I mean, I can't say that. No one can ever say to me that I've not tried. I've shot music videos. I've filmed athletic videos. I mean, I've run my own companies, and no one can ever say to me, especially those people that have never had the balls to do it themselves.
Exactly.
Can ever say to me, "Shut up, Ollie," it's on about my hillbilly accent. No one can ever say to me, "I've never tried." Oh, we've not tried to do that. So it's like, well, I did try, and it went well. Then the pandemic happened. Then Brexit happened at the same time, and it kind of shafted one of my companies up. And to turn around to your team and say, "Look, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to shut it." That's the hardest thing. No one can ever say to me that, "Oh, you've not done anything, or you've not tried hard enough." I did try hard enough. You know what it's like to stand in front of your guys and say to them, "Sorry, there ain't a job for you." That's the hardest thing ever.
Yeah, definitely. But like you say, a lot of people don't. They'll see the glitz and the glamour of the music industry, but they won't see the struggles and the dark places and everything like that. And I think start with most things though. If you start working really hard and you become really motivated and you're just putting all of your energy into this, sometimes you'll see the people that you thought were friends, they'll drop off, they'll disappear because they don't want to support you. A lot of people want to see you. Some people want to see you do well, but not as well as them, or they can't really relate to your drive. So they start going, "Oh, that person's arrogant now," or they don't care about anyone else anymore. But actually, sometimes you just can't be around negative people. You have to keep your circle motivated, and I find keeping your circle small as well, that helps keep you motivated. If you've got too many people around you, I don't know, just for me, I find it very, you can feel a lot of negativity creep in. A lot of drama.
Ollie's just said that he agrees with you 100% with that. He's like, you can't even argue with that logic. And you know what? I've got a prime example, and I'm not gonna say his name, but because obviously the guy's got a lot more money than me, and I don't want him taking me to court. But the singer of Bring Me, right? Ollie weren't so much a skateboarder way back when, but his brother Tom was. So that's how I knew him. And for all that, we'd done stuff together. I've even messaged him on Instagram, and I've got, maybe he gets 1 million messages a day. Do you know what I mean? With different things because of who he is. But it's like I'm kind of like left in the dust now. I'm not a guy he wants to know anymore because I don't benefit him in one anyway. I'm no longer a friend. I mean, his brother Tom and me, I mean, I skated with them. Tom started his own skateboard company up called Lives and Levels, which I supported. I supported everything that he did, and I loved this company that he was doing and everything about it. And like every now and again, I'd still say like, "Oh, you're all right, man. How's it going?" He's like, "Yeah, you're all right, dude." And then he actually got a couple of guys who like I was skating with at the time, and then he sponsored them, and he stayed like in the circle and stayed friends and stuff. And his brother became an ass. Just such an arrogant person. And I feel awful saying this. Like, I went to their first show, which was in it was like a dive of a pub called the Charter Arms. It was in a town called Rotherham. That is where Bring Me played their first ever show. And it was in like this basement room where they used to hold these rock nights. And I went to it, I've done nothing but show my support for them as people. And then now they just don't want to know me. It's just like, yeah, he's not a cool guy. He's not with the it crowd or anything like that. When you've known somebody for like all that time and then you get kicked to the curb just because they've made it, I think that's where a lot of these successful people why they've got depression, why they've got issues, why they've got no friends. I mean, you name me the last time when two famous people either got together, married each other, or whatever, and it was successful. Apart from Jay-Z and his wife, because they were together before they were famous. But it just doesn't work.
They've had issues, you know, in their marriages and stuff. No, but I think I don't know, personally, if I was famous or whatever, you know, I wouldn't want to be with another famous person because you'd never be left alone. Never be left alone. You know, everywhere you turn, people trying to.
And would your friends still be friends? Would they still want to know you? That's the thing. They're not going to tar you with the same brush or anything like that. It's a fine line, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think people are quick to judge, and they'll try to they'll probably say like, "Oh, you're just going to become like whatever his name was, like sung or you're going to become like Ed Sheeran, and you're just not going to. It's going to be more about like spending all your money, like, or just getting more money in, and this. It's like, and you're not going to think about your friends. And to be honest, I mean, I've been on receiving end of that.
Yeah. It's not nice.
By one of my friends, and it's shit. It is shit. But I suppose not every musician's the same. But you've just got to. What they forget is where they came from and who put them there as well.
That's the trouble, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, it's the same as like, I suppose, like biting the hand that feeds you.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. But then I suppose it's tough, really, because you don't know, as we were talking about with record labels and that, you don't know what you're being drafted in to do, or, you know.
Yeah, what pressures you're going through because of what they're forcing you into.
Yeah, and you don't know what from the outside can look like someone abandoning you. It can actually be they're working 16 to 18 hours a day with no sleep.
Yeah.
And they're shattered, and you know they've got to do this tour, and then they've got to do a little performance in HMV or whatever, and do all the signings and the book things, and then they've got to, you know, after they finish their tour, then they've got to go and do their new album, and they've got to do photo shoots, and it must be crazy. Because as I say, most people from the outside looking in will just see, oh, that person's making loads of money and they're gigging Wembley or whatever. But it's everything in between and around it that you know, and I suppose it'd be
I suppose deep in the background, you don't know whether that person's gone through a divorce like last week or something stupid.
Exactly.
Because you don't know how they're feeling as an individual.
Yeah, it's tough. It is tough, you know. But I suppose sometimes you just got to concentrate on yourself and do your own thing, you know, and just realise that actually, you know, people are fickle, aren't they? You know,
Yeah.
They're, you know, you think they're around and they're always going to be there for you, and other times that you just end up finding out that they're not, and that's life. Like, I don't let it really bother me now. You know, I'll have like my day where I just think, oh, what an arsehole that person is.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
then,
I don't know how much you know this, but Ollie's just put, without naming a name, being promised the world and taking 90% of your takings and mastering and rights to your songs is a prime example of how much you're just a number to them.
yeah, a lot of people are out for themselves, and I think it's not, for me, it's not a pessimistic thing to say that. I think it's, you know, once you realise that there are only so many good people that you will meet in your life that won't screw you over, then you're sort of in a zone where you're taking control. If you start to trust every single person that comes into your life, I don't know, you're going to be had up a few times, aren't you? You know, and you're going to be on the receiving end of some horrible situations.
Yeah.
I think this is again, as we're saying, you know, Ollie's talking about that. That's a musical experience, and same with me. You know, I've had experiences with people promising me the world, and they don't deliver. And that, you know, that's it. You can either let it consume you and sort of go, oh well, I ain't doing that again, or you can just go, do you know what? I've learned my lesson. Now I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it
and do it this way. Yeah, some people let it defeat them, and then they just don't want to carry on doing it, or they'll do like exactly what you've just done and just say, right, well, I'll do it my way, and I'll carve my own path.
Exactly that.
Yeah,
and that's what I do now, and that's why, you know, things are moving a little bit slower than I'd like, but I'm still making progress. And I think a lot of it is your mindset. You know, you have to train your mind to go. And this is the hard thing, you know, saying about, and Ollie will know as well, having ADHD, you're on the go, and I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, and you know, I've achieved things, and then straight away I've gone, I've got to do this now, rather than actually sit there and sort of sit back and go, I did well, I'm going to chill out, I'm going to celebrate this, or everything has to be always, right, I've done that, I've ticked that off the list, now I've got to go and do this. And there's no break, and that's when you have to be careful, because you can stop enjoying the one thing that actually takes you away from everything else mentally. So that's why with music now, it's hard to get used to, but I'm enjoying it moving a little bit slower, so I can get my bearings, and so I can actually bask in things sometimes and just enjoy my achievements rather than actually, you know, just letting them pass me by. I've done that now, sweet.
Well, I mean, this is a thing, isn't it? So, well, one of the things that it's going to be a shame to do is to obviously end this conversation. because I could probably just talk to you about bollocks all day, until the world meets its end. But exactly the same way with Ollie and everyone else about how twisted it actually is. So, but sadly for me, I've got a small human that I need to cook meals for.
Yeah. I was gonna say my dinner's got cold, so
Nice.
priorities, isn't it?
Oh yeah, exactly. So, but it's been a pleasure in speaking to you, buddy. It really has. I wish you all the best, and I will be keeping tabs on you as well and your music, and whichever direction you decide to go with it is entirely up to you. So good luck with that, and nice speaking to you, and hopefully we can speak to you again. Hopefully you'll have an album by that time.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, I know so. It's coming.
Okay
Positive.
then, dude. Well, take care. Enjoy.
Take care, mate.
No worries,
Bye.
mate. Take care. Bye-bye.